Greetings and salutations, my friends. Welcome to a brand new Total War Warhammer 2 unit guides. Today we are looking at the Bastiladons. We've got 3 flavours, which is actually more than the tabletop version, I think, because there's no... I don't think, from what I remember, it's been a while with Games Workshop, I don't think they had feral stuff. But we've got 3 flavours and they do very different things in the game. So we're going to have a look through the 3 things, see if we can find a better one, or, you know, just discuss what each one does and see which ones we're actually going to use in the fight. Again, especially with monsters and the big units, they look spectacular. Absolutely spectacular. Wonderful stuff. So first off, this guy looks a bit lonely and undressed, doesn't he? We're going to look at the Feral Bastiladon, and then we're going to compare him and have a look. So he is armoured, as you can see. Armour-piercing melee, which is because of his big fat claws. He causes terror, and he rampages, which is anytime he takes damage, he has the chance to go on a rampage. He'll go for enemy units, but you cannot control him or give him orders. He's just doing his own thing, having a bit of dinner and stuff. So he has 7,698 hit points. He's got a massive 140 armor, leadership of 60, a little bit low, speed of 40, melee attack of 22, defense of 24, weapon strength 250. 160 is armor piercing, and he gets a bonus versus infantry just because a lot of trampling is going on there, and a decent charge bonus. So he has missile resistance of 15%. That's scaly skin. He can go through walls as you'd expect. He causes fear and terror, and he has that rampage that we discussed before. So pretty badass, but he does have the drawback. Obviously, he's a lot cheaper, but he does have the drawback of just going nuts. You're just going off on one. So next up we have the Bastiladon with the Revivification Crystal. That's an easy one. That can't be a Revivification. Isn't it Revivification? Who knows? The Revivification Crystal, which looks absolutely epic. There used to be in the tabletop game a Bastiladon which basically had these tubes coming out which snakes would fall out of. Don't ask me what. It was like a snake launcher. Who knows? They decided to not go with that, which is fair enough. So let's have a look at this badass motherfudger. So he has the Revivification Crystal. He's armoured. All the same stuff as before. If we look at comparison, he's got slightly more hit points, 5 more leadership, 4 more melee defense, and 6 more charge bonus, which is nice. But the big difference here, obviously, is this, which I'm going to say is some sort of regeneration, because I'm clever like that. So it happens, you can use it 10 times in a fight. It's got a pretty short cooldown of 30 seconds, which is fantastic. And it casts on an ally within 100 metres. You cannot use if leadership is broken, and it can only affect Lizardmen. Resurrects dead combatants, replenishes hit points, and heals injured. So it heals the injured before resurrecting. That's obviously amazing. That makes this like a tanky first aid truck. Something that's really hard to kill, but also keeps your army alive. Absolutely amazing, loving it. We're going to talk in further detail and compare them after we've gone through the last one. So this is the Solar Engine. And it's got the beam of Chotek, because of course it has. Look at it. That's a beam, obviously. And it's got some little bodyguards there, making sure nobody steals the giant crystal thing off the top. So, again, we'll compare with the... We'll go with the other one this time. Exactly the same. So, almost. We'll go that way, because that makes more sense. Apart from, obviously... Sorry, if we go... I forgot to compare the last bit. The skinks on board can shoot. They've got a decent range of 90 for a skink, that is, and a missile damage of 49, which is poison damage, which is... Shouldn't forget that. That's actually really important. That debuff with the poison damage is really, really useful, as you can see. Loads of debuffing goodness. So the Solar Engine is even more of a shooty machine. All those sort of things are the same. Up until we get to the ammunition, it's got 18 shots, but they are flaming magical attacks, which is always good. It's got 18 shots. It's got a massive range of 240, and it does 403 damage. We can look at this, because I have no idea what the fuck it is. It's blinding, so if you hit somebody for 10 seconds, they have minus melee attack accuracy, which is really good for picking off high elf archers and artillery pieces, and melee defense. Very, very nice. I do like that. It's got no other special abilities. Basically, it's just a big magic crystal cannon. So, obviously, very, very different ways. These are 3 completely different ways of using these things. So, the Feral Bastiladon is basically, you just send in, frontline it. You go in with your troops, you try and smash through infantry. You do as much damage as possible. You want to get it in nice and early into the mixer, because you know it's going to rampage at some point, and just kill everybody anyway. So you might as well get it stuck in. Obviously, it's a lot cheaper. It's heavily armoured. Fantastic stuff. Then we've obviously got the big support truck, the first aider truck. And it's an interesting one because it's still obviously a massive tank and hard to kill. And it does decent damage. But this is... I would say this is like a secondary charge. So what my sort of personal feelings about this is that you might have this just behind your main line, because as well as having obviously the Revivification kit on board, you also have those skinks that can do a decent amount of poison damage, more importantly debuffing the enemy. So I would use this as almost like a little mobile support unit with a bit of shootiness that can just hang out, with the option of, if and when needed, to get stuck in. It's not one of those like a spellcaster that can't ever get stuck in because it's too dangerous, it's going to get squished. This thing can, if you find a nice little fruity rear charge available, you can still do it with this and get some damage done. So that's really nice, sort of double option on this. And thirdly, it's a mobile cannon, a mobile great cannon that does magical flaming attacks and blinds people. What more could you... I think I've sold it there, haven't I? I've sold it. What more could you want? It's got good range. For me, this is a tough one because they're not really comparable. I can see them all being usable. I think this one, the Revivification Engine, is more for bigger armies. I think unless you've got a big army, I think this is better for those massive fights where that are going to go on for ages, and that you need that extra support, the healing and the revival and stuff like that. Or if you've got a really expensive army, because you can actually heal the dead, so that helps a bit with support and stuff. But I don't know which is my favourite. I can't tell you. I like the feralness because it's nuts and it's silly and it could go on a rampage and it's a lot cheaper. But I think my favourite is going to have to be a great cannon. Obviously, it's a mobile artillery. It's like having a good artillery piece that you can then send to another flank or get even. And again, like the support one, you can still get in a charge and do a shit ton of damage. You're still going to do a load of damage. It still causes terror. So you can weaken the enemy up before you charge in. So I'm just for the blinding cannon of greatness, I'm going to give it to the Solar Engine. But I would, on this one especially, I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments below. Which one of these 3 badasses would you like to use in your army? Which is going to be your mainstay? Are you going to mix all 3 up? I'd love to know. Please do leave it in the comments. There we go, guys. The Bastiladons are done. We've still got plenty of stuff to do. Obviously, after the Lizardmen armies, we're going to do the Dark Elf and the High Elf and the Skaven. Very much looking forward to the Skaven, especially. One of my favourite armies of all time. So join me for that. Subscribe if you're new, like and all that good stuff. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.